Hi everyone, this is the video for Friday, May 8th, and today we're going to be revising and editing our alternate ending in order to create the final draft for this assignment. So I've changed the due date. It is no longer today. It is due on our next class meeting, which is Tuesday, May 12th, actually by midnight that day. So it gives you a little bit of extra time to revise and edit, and I can go in and give some more comments if you've been late completing the other parts of the assignment. So let's remind ourselves what our alternate ending needs to have. First of all, it needs to make sense with what happened in the story. So we can't have aliens suddenly showing up because this is not a science fiction story. We need to continue in the same way that the story is written. So here's two things to keep in mind, and you should check your document for. The point of view of the story. So the point of view is third person omniscient. That means that the narrator is not a character in the story, but the narrator does know the thoughts and feelings of both characters. So make sure it's in third person. And the tense, the story is told in past tense. So go back and check your verbs and make sure that everything's in the past tense. Obviously, if there's dialogue, what the character is saying is in the present tense. Use descriptive language, meaning you're showing, not telling the story. I should be able to clearly visualize what's happening in my mind. It should not sound like a summary of what happened. Make sure you include dialogue, at least 2 different pieces of dialogue. Make sure it's at least 1 full page, double-spaced, size 12 format, and that it's in MLA format. So we went over all of those things last week and early this week. So we've been going through the writing process with this assignment. We did our pre-writing where we generated ideas on last Tuesday when we did our planning document. We've been drafting last week and this week by creating our first version of the alternate ending. Today we're going to be revising and editing, and then by Tuesday at noon, you are publishing. That's creating your final copy of the document. Let's talk about the differences between revising and editing. Revising is when we fix the ideas or the structure or we add more detail to something. So that's kind of like the meat of your assignment. So if there is something where I need you to switch the order of something, or I want you to add more dialogue or more description, that would be counting as something that you're revising. To edit something, you have to fix the grammar, the punctuation, the spelling, or the capitalization. So you're looking for these types of errors. So how do you revise your essay? Well, you're going to go back to that checklist that I just talked about, and you can also look at the rubric, which is how I'm going to be grading you. You need to read your essay and ask, did you include all of these necessary parts? Look at any comments that I made for you on the side and try to make the changes that I'm suggesting to you. So when you go to the Google Classroom, when you're in the interlopers alternate ending section, that's where you're going to find those documents. There's the writing assignment that has the checklist, and here's the rubric. You take a look at the rubric, it's going to show you everything you need to get the highest score possible. So this is how I'll be grading you. So let's take a look at some examples. For the dialogue, this is the dialogue section. If you include 3 or more pieces and the dialogue is definitely important to tell the story and you don't use the word said, remember said is dead, that's a 4, all right? Look at 1. You only included 1 piece of dialogue. The dialogue is not important for the story, so maybe it's just like, hey, what's up? How are you? And we don't need it for the story. And maybe it uses only the word said. That's a 1. The next section I'm grading you on is the show don't tell. So how descriptive are you? If you show and not tell the story by using descriptive language, and there's a strong connection to the plot and the writing style of the original story, that's a 4. So basically, your alternate ending sounds like it could fit right with the interlopers. That's a 4. It tells the story in simple language or it has no connection to the original story, that's a 1. So let's say your story looks like it was written by someone in ESL 1 and it's very basic, that's a 1. Or if it makes no sense, like aliens arrive. Let's look at grammar and conventions. It's okay to have a few errors, we all do, but there should be very few errors if you want a 4. If you have a 1, that means you have so many errors that the reader can't understand most of what you're writing. That should probably not, no one in the class probably will get the 1 because you guys are much better at that. So that's how I'm grading you. So look at this rubric. Also look at the document that has the assignment in it, that has the checklist that we looked at before, and check your document. Do you have all of the parts before you turn it in? So that's what you're going to do when you revise. Now let's talk about editing. One thing that you really should do when you're trying to edit your essay is to read it out loud, because sometimes that's where we're going to find the errors when we hear them. I do this when I'm writing an email or writing an essay or doing my PowerPoint presentations. Sometimes you might make a typo and you don't notice it until you read it out loud. So please do that first. Then look for misspelled words. They are underlined in red by the computer. I should not receive any documents that have red underlining here. It shows me you didn't do a thorough job. When you see this, you're going to right click on the word and it's going to give you the correct spelling. You're also looking for grammar mistakes. Sometimes the computer is able to catch them for you. So if you see any blue underlining, then check what is it telling you should change it to. It's not always absolutely correct, but much of the time it is, all right? So that's what you're doing when you're editing your document. So today you're going to go to this section, right? You're looking at those 2 documents that I showed you in helpful documents, and then you're going to your draft to look at it. And what you're going to be doing is editing and revising your interloper's alternate ending. When you are done with that, turn it in to me. Make sure it's turned in by Tuesday, May 12th at noon. All right, have a good one.